one of the Fibromyalgia Awareness Social Media Challenge, and I'm so glad you're here. My name is Victoria. I'm 27 years old, and I was diagnosed with Fibro at 20, but they believe I have had it since I was 12 or 13, just based on my past symptoms. So I know a lot of you have seen me either on social media advertising this, telling everyone that I'm going to be doing this challenge, but I wanted to tell you my why. So today I wanted to take a little bit just to explain what Fibro is to those of you that don't know or are having a hard time understanding it like me. And then I also wanted to share my why, because I think it's important that we all share our why when we're trying to bring attention to someone. It helps to explain to people why something is so important to us. So that's why I'm taking day one to explain that. I wanted to start off with a couple facts. I do have a fact list, that way I can list the source. So a lot of this is from the CDC and Mayo Clinic. I've been researching heavily over the last couple years to try to understand what this is. And they believe, the CDC and Mayo Clinic both believe fibromyalgia is overactive nerves and miscommunication between the brain and the spinal cord, which is where your nerves are held. So when there's that miscommunication and eruption, whether it is a twisted vertebrae, a bulging disc, or just miscommunication with the brain, or sometimes our brains don't always work correctly when it's trying to process pain. Especially when there's a lot of bodily trauma and mental trauma involved. It causes that widespread pain and those overactive nerves. They believe that fibromyalgia starts in most people from trauma, whether it's mental trauma or physical trauma to the body. And 2% of the US has been diagnosed with it. So I could not find a fact for the world, for worldwide. So if you have one and you know what that percentage is, let me know, because I want to make sure that it is said. I'm still researching it as well. It is more common in women than it is men. I have met men who have fibromyalgia and experience very similar symptoms to us. There is a little bit of a difference because men and women have different bodies. So you're going to have a little bit of a difference, but men do have fibromyalgia, and that was a question I had gotten, if men do have it. So with those facts and with what fibromyalgia is, our biggest symptoms, which we're going to talk about symptoms tomorrow, but is widespread pain. So if you can think of the time when you experienced some of the worst pain you've ever felt, like I get a lot when I ask my friends, when I try to explain it to them, is, what's the worst pain you've ever felt? And they're like, well, I had the body aches. With the flu one time, I was in the hospital. It was horrible. Or sometimes it's COVID. Which, by the way, we may have symptoms similar to COVID, but it's not COVID. Just throwing that out there. When they say, oh yeah, body aches. Cool. Okay, I feel that every day. So think of that time. That's what I feel every day on a good day. When it's a bad day, especially when they tell us when we're at the doctor, on your pain scale, 1 to 10, how do you feel? There's a pain scale? I didn't know we had one. It's literally what it feels like, and that's the best way I can explain it. Or that we're bruised from head to toe, and that our hair can actually have bruises too. So that is the best way that I can explain to people who have never felt it before, how it feels to us. And the reason and how I got that was just by asking my friends who have it, and asking people in our community that have it too, how would you explain it? And that was the most common way to explain it. So I want to share my story real quick. I'm going to give you guys a short version because I don't want to take up a lot of your time today. It is day one. We're going to have so much information coming up in the next 30 days. So I want to take today just to explain real quick what my why is and my story. So at about 12 or 13 years old, I had mono. I had mono for 9 months. There's my trauma to the body. I had also had a lot of mental trauma as well, from anxiety and depression. So they believe the combination of those things is what caused fibromyalgia. But trying to get diagnosed was very difficult. At that time, it was not really widely believed in. And especially in a kid, my doctors are thinking, okay, I'm faking to get out of school, I'm making my symptoms up, or it's all in my head to get attention. Those were things I had been told by doctors. And it was really scary as a child and a teenager just to think that, okay, well, maybe it is all in my head, and I started believing it. Except the symptoms weren't going away no matter what they did to treat. to treat me. They weren't going away. So that's when I made one last effort about 6 years later and said, I still don't feel good. If you are not willing to hear me and to listen to me, then this is going to be a problem. And I will find somebody else and I will go to the ends of the earth to figure out what's wrong with me if you're going to sit here and continue to call me crazy. So finally, my general practitioner was like, okay, well, maybe it's not in your head. I'm like, no, I really don't think it is. I said, I really think I need to see a specialist. And at that time, I was about 18 years old. And he was like, okay, we'll get you a specialist. And at that time, I was also really overweight. So I was 320 pounds. And they had thought that that had a lot to do with it until I started working out and losing weight. And I finally went to my doctor, finally got in. It did take a little while. It did take about 3.5 months to get into my doctor. And they set me up with a rheumatologist first. So I went to the rheumatologist and I explained all the symptoms. And she's like, well, I think you have fibromyalgia. I was like, so it took you 1 day to determine that? What the heck? Why can nobody else determine it? She's like, not all doctors believe in it. Sometimes doctors also have a hard time believing in what they can't see every once in a while. And this is one that we can't see in anything, including reports. It was like, okay. She's like, but before I can give you a diagnosis, there's 2 things that we really have to do. We need to run a full panel on your blood to make sure there's nothing else wrong, just to have the bases covered. And I'm like, okay, I've done that, but I'll do it again, gladly. The first one to believe me. Mind you, I'm crying in the office at that time. She's like, the second thing we need to do is we need to address the headaches and the neurological issues. I was having a lot of brain fog and memory issues, mobility issues. I was constantly tired. I would randomly fall asleep. They thought I was narcoleptic at first because of how often I would sleep and how often I fell asleep and quickly I fell asleep. So she's like, we're going to get you into a neurologist. It's going to be closer to home for you too. So you're going to go to Elgin and you're going to go see him. And he's going to do the same tests that I'm doing most likely. But the quicker we do these tests, the quicker we can get you a diagnosis. So I went and got my blood drawn. I called the neurologist, set up the appointment, was ready to go. I was tired of the symptoms. I wanted a diagnosis. I just wanted one so bad I didn't even care what it was. I just wanted to know it was wrong. So I went to the neurologist and I sat down. He's like, okay, we're going to do some scans. He's like, I do want to test for a few more things that this blood panel didn't. But we want to do some scans. We're gonna do some MRIs, some CAT scans. We're gonna do some sleep tests. We're gonna figure out if this is exactly fibro. But in order to do that, we have to rule out everything under the sun, including lupus. And since lupus runs in your family, and you are too young to test for lupus, you still could possibly have it. And I was like, okay, well, I can prepare for that. I'm like, let's figure out what this is first. So first, he gave me a medication for the migraines before we did any of this. Then we set up all the CT scans and MRIs to see if there was anything in my brain that was causing issues, whether it was a tumor, lack of blood flow, anything. Even neurological misfires. They just wanted to see what was going on. So they said all the scans came back pretty normal, and he was confident that it was fibro, so he was able to sign off on it, which opened doors to drug trials, medications, everything. So the first thing we wanted to do, because I was so young, because I got so sick, is we wanted to stick with the migraine medication, except they failed to realize that I quickly got addicted to it. See, being overweight, I wanted a quick way to lose it. So I realized that this medication had the side effect of weight loss. So I started taking it even when I didn't need to take it, just so I could lose weight, and it got to the point where I couldn't eat for over a month. I was eating maybe once a day and only consuming about 300 calories. And they had to monitor my weight every week I was in there, just to monitor weight. And finally they said, okay, you've got an addiction. You already told us you were stopping. You're not. We can tell by the way you're losing weight, and you still feel like crud. So we're going to take you off this medication. So they did. And they recommended that I go back to a chiropractor. Mind you, I'd done chiropractic in the past. I never had a problem with it. I loved it. Personally, I swear by it. I think it's the only way that I survived fibro. When I was first getting all the symptoms under control. It was the only way I survived it, was going to a chiropractor. So they're like, we're going to get you back to a chiropractor. You need to show proof that that's where you're going to go. Because we need to get this under control. And you need to stop taking that medication because you are addicted, and if you can't do it safely, then we will have to admit you, and you will have to go through detox. I did it on my own. I had a good support system. I kept it to myself that I was going through this because I didn't want anyone to find out. So I was like, all right, I'll go to the chiropractor. We're going to hide this. We're going to sweep it under the rug. We're going to keep it with the few of us that know, because I don't want this to get out that I'm an addict. And it took years for me to come out, but I am able to say that I am a recovering addict. And I am 3 years clean. So that is very exciting for me to say. But going to the chiropractor, my migraines actually started going away with about a month. My neck was so jacked up, and my neck was so jacked up, and my spine was so twisted that even though I was in powerlifting and working out at that time, nothing was helping. Nothing was really doing what it should have done. So I started getting adjusted, and then I started getting massage therapy done. And slowly but surely, my body pain went away and started going away. And then they put me in physical therapy and hot water therapy. And slowly I started getting all of my functionality back. My body started feeling better. Now, mind you, my rheumatologist at that time was trying to push medications on me, and I didn't want to after what had happened with the migraine medication. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to try to go natural, which is why I actually left her. Even though she had gotten me a medical card for a short time, she would not allow me to re-up it until I had gone through at least 90 days of a medication. I was like, yeah, no thanks. That time I had heard the horror stories when these medications were in testing of what it was doing to the body. Now they're not that bad, but they were bad through testing. And I was not going to put myself through that yet. Not until I had to. I will take medication when that time comes. But right now I want to do all I can to be as strong as I can and as natural as I can without going through that. But I am fully in support of medications if you need it. Fully in support of it. So I want to put that out there right now. And that's where I am today. Is that through all of that treatment and through getting diagnosed, I'm able to fight it as natural as possible. Yes, I take ibuprofen and Tylenol. Once in a while, I'll take tramadols. I got very addicted to those, so those are controlled. I have someone that controls them for me, which is great. That way, if it really gets to that point, I can take one. I can ask, and they won't question it. They'll give me the pill, not the bottle. So they're very smart about it, and I'm very grateful I have that system in my life. And it's crazy to think that where they were 7 years ago, they didn't really believe in fibro. 10 years ago, they really didn't believe in it. And look how far we've come now. Like, people are finally being able to get diagnosed. I read stories every single day in the Facebook groups. People being like, I'm finally able to get diagnosed. Finally found a doctor that believes me. And then I'll read people that said, yeah, I went in and finally told them my symptoms and I was diagnosed on the spot. And I'm like, whoa, that's possible now. It's because of all the awareness and the technology we have now. It's crazy to think how much has developed in 10 years. It's insane. I just can't wrap my head around it. And it's crazy. What's crazy too is I get a lot of people that tell me, whether it's in the groups or in person, when I say I have it, they're like, I know what that is. How are you able to do what you do? I'm like, I don't know. I fight like naturally. They're like, are you on prescriptions? I'm like, no. I said I get chiropractic, massage, cupping. Tattoos is a good therapy. Just FYI, I love tattoos. So I get tattoos. And I work out daily. If not 5 to 6 days a week. Lately the fibro's been bad, so it's down a little bit. But I work out a lot. I run, I exercise, and I get people that tell me too, how do I do that? How do I start? Because it's so hard for me to get mobility. Well, let me tell you, that's why I'm doing 30 other videos. There are 30 other videos that are a part of the series. We're going to talk from everything from symptoms, which is tomorrow, to nutrition, to chiropractic, to massage, to how I started with my workout journey and going through. And then we're going to bring in someone who has been in the industry for so long and personally trained me and worked with me to get my mobility and functioning back. Because it's possible. It is possible. Even getting up to walk is a huge step. And going on a walk around the block or for a mile, that is huge. A lot of us can't do that. And I didn't know that till becoming a part of this community. And it's crazy. But I promise you, no matter where you're at in that journey too, which we will get to that at a later date, you're doing amazing. And no matter what you're doing now, I want to put this in there, no matter what you are doing right now, you're being the best you can, and you're doing the best you can. And why I made these videos is because all of you are telling me what is working for you. And then there's so many questions about how can I sleep? How do I fight brain fog? How do I eliminate foods? How do you go vegetarian? Does keto work? How can I be a student? With Fibro, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't retain anything. I'm going to help all of you. I'm going to do my absolute best. I'm going to take everything that I have learned from the community, from my doctors, from my natural healer, from light workers to Reiki to everything. And I'm going to show you things that have worked for me and things that have worked for other people. And I'm going to bring in a few people to help me out. Whether it's going to be people from the community, it's going to be people that have worked with me and have learned what fibromyalgia is through me. I'm going to bring them in to talk to you because I don't want to talk for all 31 days, no offense. So I'm very excited. I also urge you to watch the intro video before I leave because there is some things that I would love you guys to help me with. One is to post at least once or twice this month using our very own hashtag FibroAwareness21. Nobody else uses it except for me and this project. So help me out, spread awareness, show people that we are people too, and what we have is real, and that we need to be validated, and that it needs to come to light that Fibro is real, and that we are not faking what we have. Because I'm so tired of getting told I fake. So we'll talk about that, about how to handle that. And then I also want you guys to help me with 2 videos I've got coming up. I have a video just for people without Fibro. So the people in our lives, about how much we love them, and how much we appreciate them trying to understand, and how we can help them. And then I also am doing a video about positive things that Fibro has taught us. So I'm going to be either taking, if you want to submit a little video of you saying it, that'd be great. If you want to submit a comment, I can show it. If you want me to say the message that you have, I can do that too, but help me out. I want you guys to be part of this. This isn't about me. This is about you. This is about all of us. We need to bring light to this, and we will. So let's use the month of May to really get out there and show everybody what's going on. All of this, my social media is in the description. The calendar's in the description. That way you can see either what you've missed or what's coming up. Go ahead and follow me on all those sites, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Friend request me on Facebook. I put my personal profile on there. I will accept you. No problem. If I don't, it's because I did not realize that you were from the Fibro group, so let me know. But I'd love to have you guys a part of my Facebook and a part of this journey with me, because you guys are the reason I'm on this journey. So I cannot wait till tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to go over symptoms, common ones, uncommon ones, and really weird ones that we have. So make sure you tune in tomorrow. Make sure you follow us. I will see you in the morning.